until they die. And among those who do save, the median, now this is an average, of course, balance for households between 55 and 64, people who should be finishing their savings for retirement, not starting it, is around $134,000, which sounds like a lot until you do the math. I say this as a person with an elderly mom. When you have to deal with things like nursing homes and you have to deal with things like health care, $134,000 ain't much. If you follow the standard 4% withdrawal rule, meaning you shouldn't pull out more than 4% a year, that's roughly enough to generate, I don't know, 6,000 a year. How many people you know could live off 6,000 a year? I certainly couldn't. Then you think about things like Social Security, you could begin to cover that gap, but you're definitely not going to totally get across the Rubicon. So if you do a sober assessment of all this, I mean, I could totally see someone deciding, man, this one's rough. What do you think? Let me know on jamesabrown.net or email me at james@thedailynote.net. This is the Weekly Note. I'm James A. Brown. More in a moment.
Slowing down the news.
Hello and welcome to the Weekly Note. Welcome back. Thanks for being with me. There are 3 ways to get in touch with me. You can leave a comment on jamesabrown.net. That's jamesabrown.net. Or you can email me at james@thedailynote.net. You can also send me a text or leave me a voicemail at 585-371-8865. We might have you on the show. So we were just talking about the financial reality for young people and how and why they resort to things like doom spending. So what's doom spending? If you didn't hear me, doom spending is feeling that your financial future is so uncertain, so out of reach that you're going to spend on big ticket items and not worry about saving at all. Now, this is a poor decision, but there's some logic to it. I was just walking through the reality of buying a home in America and the math of retirement. And both look bleak, not just for them, hell, for me. I'm 41. I'm not a Gen Zer. But so I can understand the logic behind saying, man, what the hell? Why invest? Why sock away every dime on something that I know I can't reach? A summit I can't get to. Why not try to experience the highs of life? Now, this is not the best decision making, as I said, but it's not as crazy as you might think. So if housing is next to impossible to acquire for Gen Z and retirement feels like a fantasy, there's even more to this. And when you look at the research, this one surprised me quite a bit. Social pressure. Empower Research found that 37% of Americans felt pressure to go outside their budget to travel with their friends. 37% of people feel like they have to overspend just to maintain those relationships with their friends. This one flabbergasted me. Like maybe I'm just a weirdo here, but that's not something that I have ever really felt. You know, there were times where I wanted to go and do road trips and I couldn't afford it, so I didn't, but I didn't feel guilty about it. But maybe I'm just a weirdo because among Gen Z, that number jumps to 47%. That's 1 in 2. And among my generation, the millennials, that's more than 50%, 52%. Traveling with friends, going places you can't afford has become social currency. Not just going to the concert to experience the music and the experience to take the Instagram photos, but trying to prove to your friends that you can. Look, I have to be honest about this one. There is I've felt some of this, but never to the extent of spending thousands of dollars. There's certainly, I think of, many times where I went out to drink or went out to hang out with friends just because I wanted to be a part of the club. I wanted to be among them. I don't think I've ever spent thousands of dollars so that I could be like my friends. So I could have so I could spend time with my friends. That feels extreme, extreme FOMO, fear of missing out. I've never had that you know, I never felt that drive to make memories to that extreme. I always felt that you could make memories without trying to without overspending, within overstretching yourself. But these folks, they feel that much of their social life is wrapped around shared experiences with their friends. The girls' trip to the tropical location, the boys' trip to the big football game, and I understand some of that, but it feels